Welcome back in this tutorial. In this tutorial, I'm going to talk about the control flow tools. So in this control tools, these are specific array structures which can make programs to have decision. The program to decide on its own. So in this program, we are going to use operators such as or, less than, greater than, equals, booleans like true or false. So in these control flow tools especially, we are going to talk about the if statement, elif statement, and also the else statement. So we are going to start with the if statement. So let's create a variable x and we assign it a value 6, and also create another variable y and we assign it a value 3, and we make an if statement. So the if statement is going to be if x is greater than y. Don't forget to put a colon, is greater than y, then print. So then print out x is great. Then print out x is greater than. Then print out x is greater. X is greater than y. So print out x is greater than y. We have forgotten to put the parenthetical, the quotes, so let's include the quotes. So when we try to run our program, this program is saying that this statement is the condition is that if x is greater than y, then it will print out x is greater than y. Let's see. X is greater than y. So let's also try, let's add another variable. Let's say z. Let's say z equals also 3. So let's say if z, let's say that if z is less than, if z is less than x and x greater than y, you should print x is greater than y if z is less than y, less than x. If z is less than x and x is less than y, so just split out. So let's print out and see what's our because the condition is true. So what if we say we print out that x is less than, so what if we say that x is less than y? If you say that x is less than y, so let's run our command and we see, we get nothing. Our terminal is empty. reason the if statement is false, so it cannot print out x is less than y, because for real x is greater than y, so x is not greater than y. That's why it has given us an empty terminal without no any code executed. So let's go introduce another statement called elif of statement. So for this elif statement is just an idea of adding another step of logic to our existing existing if statement. So if and else statements. So normally we use the last two statements, if else statement and if statement. If the first statement, the if statement, is not executed when it's wrong, our program will jump and check if the elif statement is right. If also it's not right, it also jump again and go to the last statement, in that one of the statements must be true. So it will loop over and over through the program to look to check for which statement is right. Let me try and put this in our code and see what I'm talking about. So we have 3 variables. One is saying if x is less than y, then print x is less than 1. So if we try to add another statement called elif, if we try to add another statement called the elif statement, so for elif, another statement called elif statement, we say print, let me say print into bracket x is greater than y. So let's make here x is greater than y. So then we also make another if statement called else if all these two statements are wrong. So it will probably say it will end up printing out the else statement. So let's say no results found, no results found. In that, if we try to run our program, it will try to look for the first statement. If x is less than y, if the statement is true, it will jump over and it will just execute the program. If the statement is wrong, it will jump over and go to the second statement, the second condition, the else statement. So whereby the else statement is saying that x is greater than y, which is So it will just try if the else statement is true. If it's wrong, it will execute what the last statement called the else statement. So whereby for this time around the elif statement is true because x is greater than y. Our variable x is greater than y because x equals to 6 and y equals to 3. So when we try to run our program, we see that in our terminal it has printed x is greater than y because the first statement is saying that if x is less than y, print out x is less than y, whereby x is greater than y. So it jumped over and it went into the second statement. So let's introduce what I call operations. So what if, so we have used the operations, let's try to use what I call booleans in the if statements. So for booleans, when I talk about booleans, I mean true or false. I mean true or false. I mean true or false. So let's try and say, let's have a condition saying that if you are male, when you are really a male, so let me say is male. Let me say is male equals true. If is male is true, like this. Oops, if is male is true. So for our boolean, let's say if male, so print out is male. Let me also change this to this, is underscore male. If underscore male is true, then print out what I call you are male. Else if it's not true that you are male, just print out for me you are female. So when we try to run our program, we see that it's going print is not defined. Let me see. Oh, we have made print as a capital P, yet it's going to be supposed to be a small p. So let's run again our program and says yeah. So now it has printed out, it has executed you are male in our terminal because is male is true. Let's say if it was false, what would it do? If this was false, what will it do? When we try to run our program, it jumped because it has executed you are female, because the first if statement is wrong, because you are male, you can't be female. So you see, it's just a condition. If the first statement is wrong, our program jumps. it jumps and goes to the second condition to see whether the condition is true. So for that, let's go and introduce what I call when we have two conditions in one. So let me say you are male, and the second time you are tall, and for the second time also you are tall. So for the second condition, for this we are going to use the operator or. So for the operator or, in this operator, the program only the program only executes a condition, an if statement condition, when one of the condition above is true. One of our Boolean is true. When one of our Boolean is true, it executes the program. It executes one of our condition. So let me try and put this in black can see. Let me say if he is male, O is tall. If you are male or is tall, or you are tall, then print out you are male and you are a tall male. Let me say you are a tall male. So if not so, if it's the condition is false, you are a short male. So it will execute the short male. So when we try to run our condition, our program, so it tells us that you are a tall male because our variables are true. But if we try to set one of our variables false, like this, it still, when we run again our program, it still again give us the first condition that it's true. Reason for the or condition of for the or operators in if statements, it just looks for one of the condition when it's true. So for one of our booleans, when it's one of it is true, it will execute the condition. So let's go and see the second operation. So let's say before that, let me also try to turn is male also false, and we try run again our program. You see, it tells us it has executed the last condition, cause is male and is tall. They are the Boolean variable because it's false, because you are not male, you are not tall. So it runs the last condition. So let's go for another operation, the operator called the AND. For the AND condition, for the AND operation, this AND operation, all the variables must be true, so that the condition can be executed, or the command can be executed. Note that for AND, all the variables, these ones, our variables must be all true or false, whereby for the operator of OR, one of even if one of our variable is wrong, it executes the command. But for the AND operation, for the AND operator, all the variables must be true or false. So let's start with the false. You see, it's true. Let's try it. Say AND. Let's change the operator AND. So when we try to run our program, it will execute the first command. Yes, it will execute the last command because you are not tall and you are not short. You are not tall, you are not male. So it will execute the last condition because the variables are false. So when we try to change our boolean to true, and also this is told to true, and we try to run our program, it will execute the first condition because the first condition is true, you are tall and you are male. So when you try to change that you are tall to false, when you try to run a program, it will give us the second code, the second command, that you are a short male. Reason for the AND operator, all the variables must be all true or must be all false. So let's go for another operator called the AND NOT, using operator AND NOT. So for us, we are going to add there AND NOT. So for the AND NOT operation, we introduce this additional logic called the AND. In this AND operation, let me say, we introduce another if statement called the else statement. So because we are going to deal with many conditions and commands, so let's say that this is also true. Your tall is true, and say if you are male and tall, print you are male, you are a tall male. Else you are tall and not, you are tall and not, parenthesis, and you are not male and you are not tall. So print if you are tall and not, if you are male and not tall, then print you are a male, you are a male and not tall. Also let's add another else statement. So you are tall and you are not male. You are tall and not male. You are tall and not what? And not male. So let's print out. You are tall and not male. Yes. So else print you are neither male nor tall. You are neither male nor tall. So in this program you will see that according to our, let me check, according to our variables, it's true that we are male and we are tall. So if we are male and we are tall, it's going to execute the first command that we are a tall male. So when we try to run our program, you see in our terminal it has executed we are a tall male. But if we try to change male to false, that we are not male but we are tall, you'll see that we are not male but we are tall. It's going to execute the third command that we are not male it's going to execute the third command. Let's run our program. You see it has executed the third command because our variable, in our variable we are not male but we are tall. So if we change that we are not tall to false, we are not tall but we are male, this to true. So you see in our program that it's going to run the fourth, it's going to run the second command or the second condition, that we are male but not tall. So when we try to run our program, yes, you are a male and not tall. So if we are all false, that we are not male and not tall, we see that's going to run our last condition called the else statement. So when we try to run again, it has given us we are neither male nor tall. So that's all about the if statement. So let me say you can write let's use another if statement an example. Say this let's make another example. Let's make a function or just an addition method. So the back end of addition method, let me say power method. So let's define a function called def max when we are looking for the maximum number. So let's say max number, open parenthesis, let's put num1 comma num2, our perimeters num3. So let's define maybe when we're generating numbers, our maximum number. So let's try say if num1 is greater than or equals to num2, or equal to num2, and num2 equals num2 num1 is also greater than or equals to num3 or equals to num3, let's return num1, else so let's make num2 is greater than or equal to num1 and num2 is greater or equal to num3. So let's return num2. Oops, we have forgotten to put there to end the if statement. So the else return num3. So when we try to call our function and make it maximum number, and we make num1 as we pass num1 as 3, num2 as 4, and num3 as num5, it will print out the maximum or the biggest number. So the function above is all about using the if statement when we want to print out the biggest number or the maximum number in our numbers we have passed in this perimeter. So we have passed in our perimeter. So when we try to run our small program we have made for the maximum number, which will give us the maximum number, we'll see that when we run our program we get 5, because 5 is the biggest number. So if we change here and say this is 1, num2 is 8, so let this become, let me say, 2. So when we run again our program, you'll see that's going to give us 8. It will execute 8 in our terminal. Reason 8 is the biggest number. So if we try to change that this to be less than, when you're looking for less than, this to be the smallest. So for the smallest, let me say min. So here let's change this to min. So when we try to run our program, we will get 1. Reason 1 is the smallest or is the minimum number in our perimeters we have passed in through from 1 to 8. So that's all about the if statement. So there are many functions like is not equivalent. This one is not equivalent. Is not equivalent. This is not, says not equals, isn't equal to, isn't equal to. Let me see and change here to 8 also. So when we try to run our program, it will give us 1, because 1 is not equivalent to num1 and num2.